are there any questions to one of the speakers?
Yeah, Elmar Kriegler, Potsdam Institute. Thank you for these presentations. I have a question to the goal of carbon neutrality by 2050. So to what extent is this discussed in Japan and China? And I noticed, for example, in the presentation on Japan that the 1.5 degree target was named as an orientation point, but the goal was then 80% reductions of greenhouse gases or CO2 by probably greenhouse gases by 2050. So how is this discussed then in the context that the 1.5 degree report said that 1.5 degree would require global carbon neutrality by 2050?
So maybe I can answer the question from China's perspective. So China, to be honest, we are at very early stage to discussing the carbon neutrality and also the climate neutrality targets. So the monitoring groups, they are now attempt to run the more stringent scenarios. So according recent study from my team, so we proposed the two targets. So it's not maybe the global one is the carbon neutrality by 2050 as the 1.5 report mentioned. So from our studies, so we think that might be more reasonable for China to achieve the carbon neutrality by the 2060 and also the climate neutrality by 2070. So, but we need to further prove that that pathway is possible, is feasible in the Chinese context. But this is the recent analysis we are undergoing. But the good news is that there are a lot of more and more experts in China, models in China, they are realizing the necessary to run the more stringent pathways to be in line with the global 2 degree or 1.5 degree pathways. Yeah, but still under very early stage, and this kind of projects, they will be in from China's official MCS development process, but to what extent that will be accepted as an official one, so it's still uncertain.
Yeah, thank you very much for your question. And Japan's target in 2050 is 80% reduction. It is a cabinet decision. And of course, when consider 1.5 degree target, it should be we need to achieve carbon neutrality, but actually Japanese government want to do it, but we need more. He explained how the government are trying to develop new technologies, or they invest more and on the new technologies, and also ask the companies and to develop by themselves, and also they have talk with the other stakeholders. But actually, the 2050 the long-term target submitted to UNFCCC is still a vision, and they are now developing new. As for the Prime Minister Koizumi, recently announced that he thinks that latter half of the this century is 2050. He hopes to achieve neutrality by 2051. Yeah, 2051. But we are not so sure.
Sorry. In addition, Mr. Koizumi is the minister for the environment.
You would like to add something, Vada? Mr. Vada-san? Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you. Dominique van der Mentru, GTAP at Purdue University. This is really for the China expert. There are recent reports in the press that China was investing a lot still in coal power, the equivalent of all the coal in Europe, in fact. So I was wondering whether this was compatible with the 13th and or the preliminary 14th year plan, and whether there was a lot of tension, for example, between the national authorities in Beijing and the local authorities.
Yeah, so so it's not an easy question to answer actually. So as I mentioned in my presentation, so there is a undergoing debate on coal, especially for our 14th five-year plan targets. So the reason I think is it's complex there. So because of the rising concern on the economy downwards and also the energy security, so there are a lot of interest groups. So they are trying to persuade the authority in China to say that, if we want to keep the energy security, so while considering that we need to reduce the reliance on the important natural gas, for example, so there will be one reason they want to persuade the government to accept to continue to invest on coal, and another reason is about because usually we use the air pollution as a driver to dealing with the climate change in China, to trigger the climate change action in China. But the argument is that because by applying almost all the coal-fired power plant in China now is accompanying very stringent end-of-pipe technologies to reduce the local air pollutants. So which means that the air pollutants like the traditional air pollutants from the coal power plant has been reduced from the 200 sorry, let me check. 20 million tons to about 2 million tons. So which means about the reduction is about 90%. So they think that the coal power plant is not remaining the major sources for the local air pollutant. So the trigger as the driving forces from the air pollution is much weaker now. And also because of the economy downwards, so the local governments, they now have the authority to approve the continuing investment on coal power plant. So they want to find, because they do not have good options to be invested on, so they still want to rely on continuing investment on coal. So that might be the major reasons to trigger the continuing investment on coal. And there is a target under discussion, so which is 1,350 gigawatts. So which means additional now is about now it's around 1,000, and but by the 2020 it's about 11,000. No, not 11,000. It's 1,100 gigawatts. So which means additional 250 gigawatts might be under development during the 14th five-year plan, but there are still attempt from the other side, from the environmental and the climate side, to prevent this target. So it's still under debate. Yeah.
Okay, Vangelos Panos from Paul Scherrer Institute in Switzerland. I have a question for Mr. Wada and Mrs. Kainuma regarding the Japanese energy policy, which is very, very ambitious, and I can see a lot of challenges in implementing these policies. And one that I noticed from the presentation of Mr. Wada is that hydrogen is foreseen as a key energy carrier, and there is an aim of reducing the hydrogen production cost by 1/10 from today. So my first question is how this could be achieved, which technologies are going to be used, what policies are there, if there are subsidies or if there are R&D investments towards hydrogen production technologies. And then at the same time, we saw from Mrs. Kainuma a great expansion of wind offshore technology, which is an expensive option, and I guess it could be used to produce some hydrogen. And also regarding the wind offshore is if there are technical feasibility studies and what programs are being in Japan for promoting this type of technology. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your question. And as for hydrogen, of course, as for the second question, so renewables can be used to create hydrogen, and but still, we hope that new technologies come in and the cost will be cheaper, and if we can have we can increase the solar energy, and if the good battery could be and cheap and big battery could be developed, then we can store the excess energy during the daylight. Then we can use this to produce hydrogen. I also not so sure about this hydrogen. I heard that the hydrogen will be some reports that hydrogen will be produced in Australia or other countries and converted to the by coal-fired power plants or renewables in other countries, and to change it to the hydrogen and import import to Japan. So I'm not so sure this is a good strategy or not, but anyway, this is one option. So.
Sorry, I'm not good at English. About hydrogen cost, Japanese government i- uh, now the Japanese government about hydrogen costs and does not monetize now, but but uh, in my presentation, uh, prog- progressive environment strategy, uh, hydrogen cost is more down and down. The Japanese the Japanese government will uh, monetize and will support the uh, indus- industrial sector company and institute. Uh, the na- uh, from this, the Japan government uh, will do support the all all stakeholders.
Okay. Thank you very much. I would now go to a break. We had a very successful first session. I want to thank the three speakers again for both their answers in the panel, but also for their lectures. So please.